Hi you guys, this is Rachel Kirkland here, the Modern Shaman. Happy Thanksgiving week. It is, at least if you celebrate Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving week here in the US, if you can't tell by my Thanksgiving shirt. My daughter and I have matching little flannel Thanksgiving shirts. So you know it's Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear my flannel Thanksgiving shirt. All that to be said, I am very thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for this channel. I'm thankful for all your love and support and devotion to me, because I've been doing this for years, and so many of you guys are like tried and true, like the wolf pack of my Modern Shaman heart, and you are always showing up and showing out. So I'm glad, and I'm so thankful genuinely for you guys that allow me to take care of my family and my children through the service of my heart. What a blessing is that, to be able to have a career and job that is just loving people with your weird gifts. I always say I have the best job in the world, that I just get to be myself for a living and be honored for that. So thank you for validating and supporting that. Okay, I'm getting on to the question. Here it is. Question of the week. When I'm happy, I sing. So that's why I'm like, question. That's the truth. I'm like a shower singer. I'm a happy singer. I'm a car singer. You should see me when I'm driving. I always have the music blaring. I have the windows down, because if I could afford it, I would have a convertible. But I don't. I have a mama minivan. So I just have all the windows down in my minivan, and I am blaring music and singing my little heart out. That is a happy place for me. So anytime you see me singing on these videos, just know Rachel's happy. She's real happy. All right, I'm going to get on with it. It says, Rachel, thank you so much for your channel. I've learned so much from you. I want to know how to give better readings. Specifically, how do you give harsh readings? Or like share bad news without feeling bad? I'm an empath, and I struggle when I am reading someone or pulling cards for someone and the information is bad. Great question. Have we not all been there, Mama or Papa? Seriously, I think a lot of people struggle with this as readers, and especially, like you said, if you're identified as an empath. So let's talk about some techniques on how to give a precise reading without carrying the guilt of that reading, and the emotional impact or weight of the individual that you're sharing with. And even though I don't consider myself an identified empath, because I'm more clairvoyant than I am clairsentient, so my definite dominant psychic sense would be clairvoyance, even though I have all of the psychic senses activated within me in my multidimensional self. But I wouldn't say that my clairsentience doesn't lead like a dominant empath in terms of my emotional connection to people. I can definitely cut it off, although I utilize energy melding when I do readings, which is very similar to a reading with an empath, because an empath is picking up on so much of those undertones of the emotional volatility, the emotional experience, the emotional response, the emotional attitude and perspective of the individual they're reading. When you're doing an energy melding reading, you are remote viewing into that individual, and so you have access to their emotional body as well as their mental body. And so the reading space I relate to, because I also feel how people are responding to my reading while I'm reading them. And so there are those multiple layers that as a reader are very unique to someone who is reading as an empath or reading as an energy meld. All right, so here's my first piece of advice to you. Always tell the truth. I'm talking like plain, flat out truth. Always tell the truth. I don't know that many people know how to do this. This is the truth. Okay, I'm telling the truth right now, just like as a meta awareness of what I'm sharing is seriously, I don't feel like a lot of people even know how to speak and communicate that plainly or at that level of truth and transparency. We are so indoctrinated to put on the facade or to make it softer or easier to receive or easier on the ear, on the heart, on the eyes. And we don't quite know how to share it all. Most of us are always kind of hiding or kind of tiptoeing or kind of making it look better than it really is. All right? Just as the reality of humans. And even beyond humans, I would even say, you know, if you've ever studied the animal kingdom, I mean, you look at orchids. Orchids like pretend that they are bees, that they're female bees, in order for the male bees to like pollinate on it. So they're like lying and they're pretending to be something they're not, so that the survival and evolutionary process thrives. It's an interesting component in all, I would say, of consciousness. And I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to answer your question. But all that to be said, with that first piece of advice of like always tell the truth, that's inclusive of saying, this is hard for me to give you this reading because it's so negative or it's so harsh or it's so brash or in your face. And I'm aware of the impact it's having on you right now. I can feel your hesitancy to receive the information because it's coming across so harsh, and yet that's the way I'm receiving it. I'm seeing the imagery that's gruesome or abrasive if you're predominantly clairvoyant and you're seeing slashing or cutting off of heads or something really aggressive in the imagery. It is our sense of ethical responsibility as the reader to say it exactly how we're receiving it, and to even share on an emotional level that you are aware that this is difficult to receive, that you can feel their pushback in the reading, and that's okay, because again, you are giving them in full transparency, in full honesty, the completeness of the reading, realizing that it is using language or wording that is harsh or abrasive or cutthroat. The second piece of advice that totally piggybacks on that first part is, because they go hand in hand, is that it's okay to ask a follow-up, to not end there, to say to Spirit, why are they needing to receive this message so sharply? Why does the message, and I'm using your words, why does the reading come across so negative or so bad or so harsh when I'm having to give this reading? Why are you using this language or imagery when I'm giving them the reading? And so don't just leave them with the bad stuff. Also ask Spirit why they're choosing to express in such harsh language or imagery or what they're sharing, because that gives so much more understanding to the bigger picture of the reading. And Spirit will not leave you hanging. They will validate the reading in a really impactful way. And typically when this happens, I'm using this from experience, when this has happened with me and I'm very aware that, oh my gosh, they're using really strong language. Particularly, it's difficult for people in relationships. They may come to you and ask you about their relationship, and Spirit may say, absolutely not, leave them today, this is horrible. And you're like, oh my gosh, this person wants to be with this person. This is really hard for me to break this news or to share this advice. Those are the hard ones. And when this comes up, and I follow up with that second piece of advice, which is to keep going and to ask Spirit, why is it that you're saying that so brashly to them? Spirit will typically say something to the effect of, I've told them this a million times, they already know it, and they're not listening. And so I'm having to be all up in their face with it, with you, because they're listening right now. They're trusting right now, and they're open to hearing what they need to hear. And so then you share that and you say, okay, Spirit said that they've told you this message. 100 times, or that every time you go to a reader you get this message, or that they've been showing you in signs and symbols, and that your journal, whether you're seeing imagery of their journal going, I know I need to leave this person but I can't get up the courage, they'll show me visions of that type of difficulty and contention in their own heart as to why they need it told to them in such brash and sharp imagery and wording and explanation. And when it's coupled with that, there is a overall understanding of like, yes, this is why Spirit is telling me in this way in particular, because this is exactly the way I need to hear it. I don't need the soft. I don't need the encouragement just to do the right thing. I need to hear something really sharp. And Spirit is always precise with the way that they are speaking to that individual with purity. So if you are upholding that level of honesty and transparency, like I said, is my first piece of advice, and then following up with a sense of why do they need the reading to be that way for them. And then also explaining that with transparency and honesty of what you receive from Spirit in that way. And then the third piece of advice that I would give you is when there is a really strong, pushback, or you can tell this is really difficult for this person to receive in that reading, then I would remind the person that they still have their superpower, which is our free will. That Spirit will always honor their sense of choice and deliberate action, that this does not take away their ability to change and make impact for themselves. So I would leave them in an empowered space to say, look, I know this reading was harsh. I know this is hard to hear. And this is what I tell people too. I would love nothing more than to give you bliss and rainbows and the love of your life that you're going to meet tomorrow. I would love that because that's great news to share. Everybody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to be a part of the party, right? But I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't sharing completely honest information with you, with ultimate transparency in exactly the way I'm receiving it, with no sense of filter. And so what I want to leave you with is a sense of empowerment, that if there's anything that I have said that you think, I don't want that future, I don't want that to happen in my future, then you still retain the power of your own free will with a deliberate sense of choice and turning and doing an about face to change the dynamic of what we saw or we spoke about today. You still will always retain the power of your own free will. So make some choices that change the impact of what I'm sharing, that change that future probability, that if I see disease in the future, if I see some probability of difficulty in the future, get on your own path of deliberate choice to create a new probability for yourself, and let them know in the reading that you're 100% behind them as a soul to be able to live the best life that they can have, and that you want to be that encouragement for them to do that, and that Spirit is also wanting that for them. Spirit doesn't come to them in these readings as a sense of punishment or like they've done something wrong, so this is bad and this is bad and this is bad. No, Spirit always comes from a place of wanting to create the best, utmost, highest vibrational sense of expression for you in this lifetime. And they're trying to get you there with the quickest, most effective and efficient way. And if that's through a harsh reading, in order to be a catalyst of change, then so be it. So give them that final sense of support before the reading ends of use this information in a way that makes you better, in a way that makes your life better, in a way that feels like this was useful. This didn't just pull me down or make me feel bad about myself and my choices. Instead, it gave me insight to be able to make changes where I need to make changes, and to be able to hold firm to my boundaries where I need to hold firm to my boundaries, and to be able to stand with stuff that truly matters to me and is aligned with my heart and my purpose for my life. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off here. Mwah. Blessings. We'll be back next week with another YouTube video.